So here we are, and it's great to have you intrepid folk back. We're going to be on a long, interesting, fast-paced journey, and I felt like I didn't have to treat you all as neophytes. I could just really jump into the deep end of the pool. So we're going to be jumping into the deep end. We're exploring Sufism as a treasure trove that maybe has been uncovered for us in this particular moment in time, in this particular century. We're also looking at Sufism as a lost part of our extended spiritual family. So if you think of family groups and extended parts of it, we are now in a position where we can come back together in a new relationship. And that's what we're beginning to explore and to celebrate together. We're also looking at the characteristic features of the Absarian, the Abrahamic traditions. So as we looked at last night, there are these two great family groups, and we belong, even culturally, to the Western side of the tree, the Absarian, the Abrahamic side, but in a certain way we've lost touch with it. We've lost touch with the roots of it. So this is an exploration not only of one part of that family, but of the whole family. So I want to give you the context of that. The tradition that we're focusing on, that we're going to be able to look at in depth, is a tradition that is mystical. So the mysteries are a part of that exploration. What are the mysteries? What are the, I don't want to say secret teachings, but teachings that have remained hidden in a certain place, certain way, and that we're uncovering. And then along with those teachings comes a practice. So in the old world of the early Christian tradition, there were two great words, theoria and praxis. And they represented this movement between two things that keep you balanced. So you take a step in theoria, which means spiritual understanding or contemplative understanding, and then you have to integrate what you've learned through practice in your own being. So theoria and practice, theoria and practice. And those are very much a part of the Abrahamic understandings, that it's a journey, it's a path, and we're on this journey, and so we're working between those two, and you have to keep those two in balance. And so this morning we're going to start with praxis and lean into praxis, because that's the heart of remembering. Otherwise we'll go to sleep. Maybe literally on Saturday morning. And I'm going to use, last night we used Arabic. I want to have us use a similar kind of chant. It's very much a part of the Middle Eastern style of chanting, but it's going to be English. So it's Holy Beloved One, rend this veil between us. Holy Beloved One, we are one with you. So I'm going to use the drum, and I'm going to drum this, but we will fall into that cadence. And if you can harmonize, if you like and can use harmony, we'll do it. Just join in. And if some of you want to carry the melody line, I'll harmonize either above or below, and we'll open it up as a beautiful harmonization of chant, which is often the way they do. But we welcome you and glad we're here together, and we'll open with this contemplative prayer that is very much the way, in the style, let's say it's in the style of the Sufi tradition. So it'll be bell, short entry reading, chant, some silence, chanting again, and then a final closing reading. In the lover's heart, there is a flute playing the melody of longing. And we often say, look, that lover looks crazy. That's only because often our own ears are not tuned to the music by which the lover dances. Holy beloved one, rend this veil between us. Holy beloved one, we are one with you. Holy beloved one, rend this veil between us. Holy beloved one, we are one with you. Holy beloved one, rend this veil between us. Holy beloved one, we are one with you. Holy beloved one, rend this veil between us. Holy beloved one, oh, we are one with you. Holy beloved one, rend this veil between us. Holy beloved one, we are one with you. Holy beloved one, rend this veil between us. Holy beloved one, we are one with you. Holy beloved one, rend this veil between us. Holy beloved one, we are one with you. Holy beloved one, rend this veil between us. Holy beloved one, we are one with you. Holy beloved one, rend this veil between us. Holy beloved one, we are one with you. Holy, 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 we are one with you. Holy, 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 we are one with you. Holy beloved one, rend this veil between us. Holy beloved one, we are one with you. Holy beloved one, rend this veil between us. Holy beloved one, we are one with you. Oh, you lovers of God, sometimes a doorway opens and a human being becomes a way for grace to get through into this world. And you become a stargate through which the light pours. If you would rise from sleep and leave the arguing in the marketplace behind and learn that your own essence is your true wealth, then you would be moving in a circle without wings. You would be nourished without eating. You would become a sovereign without a throne. You would no longer be the subject of fate or fortune, but you would become the maker of fate and fortune. And you would be swimming in the great, dark, beautiful, divine sea, says Rumi. Oh, you who are lovers of God, sometimes a doorway opens and a human being becomes a way for grace to get through into this world. And you become a stargate through which the light pours. If you would rise from sleep and leave the arguing in the marketplace behind you and learn that your own essence is your own true wealth, then you would be moving in a circle without wings. You would be nourished without eating. You would be a sovereign without a throne, no longer the subject of fate or fortune, but you would become the maker of fate and fortune, and you would be swimming in the dark, divine sea. Holy beloved one, rend this veil between us. Holy beloved one, we are one with you. Holy beloved one, rend this veil between us. Holy beloved one, we are one with you. Holy beloved one, rend this veil between us. Holy beloved one, we are one with you. Holy beloved one, rend this veil between us. Holy beloved one, we are one with you. Holy, 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 we are one with you. Holy beloved one, rend this veil between us. Holy beloved one, we are one with you. Holy beloved one, rend this veil between us. Holy beloved one, we are one with you. Holy beloved one, rend this veil between us. Holy beloved one, we are one with you. Holy beloved one, rend this veil between us. Holy beloved one, we are one with you. If you stay fooled by the empty promises of this world, you will never know your own true essence. So bring your mind back into your heart, for the beloved is waiting there inside of you. Amen. So thank you for being a part of the practice, and that makes you very much aware of the beauty and the depth of what we might call the Abrahamic tradition's praxis of the heart. And we were doing that this morning, and it's shared by Jews in their mystical tradition, it's shared by Christians in our mystical tradition, and it's shared by Muslims in theirs. So we share this contemplative awareness and calling out. It's called the invocatory methodology of praxis, calling out to the divine name. And it begins in the Psalms, calling out to the divine presence, invoking the divine presence. It's in the Christian tradition, it's in the Islamic tradition. It's very, very beautiful, and it has roots in the tradition that we're going to be exploring together today. So thank you for participating. We began last night with an overview of what we might call the perennial traditions approach to religion. So a position taken from a philosophical, spiritual viewpoint of there being a universal gift of the divine to the world down through the ages in different languages, in different symbol systems, but nonetheless a gift of the divine that we're beginning to understand. And it takes us a while to understand it because it's a language that is often transcendent to human language. So symbol, metaphor, poetry is used often to express this point of view that is often beyond the conventional religious point of view, which is to describe God in our terms. And rather than that, we begin to hear the divine voice, the divine language, the language of archetype, symbol, metaphor, poetic speech. So we're the inheritors of that, and that language has been distributed as a gift across the world, across the ages. And that's what we looked at last night in some depth. I think it was Barbara who was sitting here, and she's not here today, but she brought up the subject, and maybe it was Ginger. Yes, maybe it was Ginger was sitting right there, and now she's over. There she is. Yeah. Ginger, you brought up the subject of a new axial age. And I think that that's happening. So we looked at the gift of Enlightenment tradition that began about 500 years before the Common Era. And that was a kind of flooding the zone, you might say, of conventional religious human experience and changing our our opinion, changing our consciousness even. And now we're 2,500 years past that time, and it looks like we're in a new flooding, that human beings are opening their consciousness to the divine, perhaps in a new way. And I want to give you two diagrams that might help to explain what's happening. And this first one is just a simple diagram of the three Abrahamic family groups. And what it shows is that they're not separated, but they are convergent. And I think what Ginger said last night is a sign of the new axial age, that the three family groups that have been in the Absarian, the Abrahamic tradition, those three family groups lived for, let's say, 2,000 years, not talking to each other, not really communicating, not sharing their stories. So each family group had their own experience, their own ups and downs, their own troubles, their own history. So if you follow the Jewish world, and it's quite complicated, and now we live with really three denominations within the Jewish world, but they came through this horrendous story of persecution and suffering and distribution and their own evolution. And the modern story of Judaism begins with the destruction of Jerusalem, 70 AD, and we're in that part of that story. But the two faiths, Abrahamic faiths, separated essentially at that point. So Christianity and Judaism diverged, and we didn't really talk to each other. We might live next door, but we didn't talk about religion. Not much. Now we are. Now we're really talking about it. What happened to you? What did you learn during this pilgrimage? And I'm just going to throw it out. What they learned is a beautiful tradition, which I've come to really deeply respect, which is the Kabbalistic tradition of Judaism, which is the mystical tradition. So Kabbalism is to Judaism what Sufism is to Islam. And we have dabbled, and we've heard, and we've listened at the door, and they've shared, but a lot of that was held secret. They wouldn't talk about it. And now they're talking about it. Now Kabbalism is available to us. Yes?
4 ways. Explicitly, but also implicitly, metaphorically, and mystically.
Good for you.
Every part of the Old Testament.
Absolutely.
And the other point, you are using the word heart. Mm-hmm. And he pointed out that the word that's translated heart for us in the Old Testament means the whole person.
Good. Wonderful. Yeah. I think that's just, and so Beverly is, here is a part of that deep learning that this rabbi is sharing with a Christian. That's amazing. Going to the heart of things. We learn this. We learned how to read our own text. And we're now at that spot. So this is, the same thing is happening with Christians. They're sharing we're sharing our story, and we're going to look at that more deeply. And then we're also listening to the incredible experience of the other part, the younger part of the family, the Islamic part of the family, in learning to hear what they're saying and hear what they've gone through and what it means and what the mysteries that they've been taught. So at the center of that diagram is a section called convergence. And I think this is new. I think this is the axial age manifesting again. that we're coming together and we're being braided. We've got, I want to say this, we've got each other's backs. So the spiritual communities of each one of those people, we've got each other's backs, and we should really respect that and assist and listen and share. And this is really a wonderful thing. And I'm going to use this experience because I happen to know Charles and Bill now really well. And they're brothers, and they shared a common life when they were young. And I heard a story this morning, which was, they were just rascals, you could just tell. And it had to do with balloon fighting, and it had to do with hoses of water down each other's clothes. It was just a mess. They were a mess when they were young. Okay, so then they grow up, they get older, and they go to school, and they diverge. They have families, they diverge, they have their histories, they have their own family experiences. And look at them now, they're sitting side by side, and they're sharing not only the early, but they're sharing their experiences, and they're coming together to new understanding. And I happen to know that they're reading together the Tao Te Ching and the Bhagavad Gita and things of that nature, which is way off the charts of what their parents read, I would guess. Your parents never read the Tao Te Ching or the Bhagavad Gita, and they would have thought, what in the hell has happened to our kids? And they're suddenly converging. So that's an example of convergence. And I think that's happening worldwide, and we're a part of it. The very fact that we're doing this here in a church, talking about these three faith traditions in a way that tries to establish understanding, says that something new is happening. Something really interesting is happening. So I'm going to give you this. I'm not going to explain it much, but I want you to have it. And it's another diagram that says each one of those three faiths, traditions, bring along a whole pack, or let's say they trail a whole other traditions of wisdom. So what this diagram will show you is that the three faiths that we're talking about, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, have deep roots into, let's take Christianity. So if you have your sheet, there's plenty of these. Did they disappear? Okay, you've got it. Yeah, same one. Yeah. So it's two diagrams that look the same, but they're not. Okay. So you've got 1 and 2. And the first one is the easy one. This is the more complicated one. But I want to just leave it with you with the thought that you might explore this. So Christianity at the bottom has a deep root into the Mazdean world and the Hellenic, the Greco-Roman world. So Christianity carries with it these two streams. Mazdean.
Tell us more about Mazdean.
Mazdean is Zoroastrian.
Oh, Zoroastrian.
So remember when Yeshua was born, these the Magi came and brought, and there was then this deep relationship that was established between, actually it's in Judaism as well, but it was in the early beginnings of Christianity. And what we have forgotten, and we don't know this, is that Christianity, and you're going to see it later on, flowed back over into the Zoroastrian world, into the Persian world, where Rumi comes from. Wait a minute, something's going on here. There is this exchange going on. We've had an exchange over on that side of ourselves that we didn't know about in the West. So that's a part of it. And then we have the Greco-Roman world, and that's very deep in us. And we have, and here's another little interesting part of the Hellenic, you have the Hermetic tradition. So part of the Hellenic is the Hermetic tradition. And the Hermetic is an interesting reaching over from the Greek world into the Egyptian world. So we don't really realize that, but we carry a whole stream of wisdom out of both Egypt and the marriage between Greece and Egypt into the Hermetic, into the Hellenic, into the Christian explanation of things. So I'm just alerting you to that. And then at the top, you have the Aramaic, the Aramaean stream. And we're going to talk more about that stream. And exactly. And so Aramaic is a Semitic cultural form that basically is the heart of Judaism, but we have tended to move away into the Greco-Roman world, and we didn't listen to the Aramaic. We didn't listen anymore to the Mazdean, because those were foreign, those were odd, those were out there, and we didn't listen to them. So I give you that just for your own exploration, and at another point I'll come back and we'll talk more about that maybe, but that's something just for you scholars and all of you are scholars and researchers, and I wanted you to have it and begin to think about it. So I'm going to go first in this explanation to the three family groups that are now talking to each other, and I'm going to give you some characteristic features of this family to which we belong. It's sort of like I grew up in this Amish tradition with a big family, and I didn't know we were odd. I didn't know we were different. I didn't, we were just our family. So I didn't think about, well, what are the features of our family? It was only when I started to interact with other family groups, and I thought, we're really different. And that family's different. So it's as you grow older, you begin to look at your own parents and you say, I picked up all of their stuff and I'm sort of living a lot of it out, and I didn't even know it, right? So you look at your parents and you say, oh, some pretty interesting things were happening among our family. Our family dynamics was interesting. It was unique, maybe even unique. Well, let's begin to explore what the dynamics are within the first child of the Abrahamic or Absarian tradition. So we're going to start with, to get to Islam, we're going to have to start with the roots of our family tradition, which is in the Aramaean world. Okay, so one of the texts of the Hebrew Bible it says that Abraham and Sarah were wandering Aramaeans. Okay, interesting. Just to, it's a factoid. You can put it back in your head. No, it's really interesting. That means all of us, regardless of your ethnicity, you're a spiritual Semite. We're all spiritually Semitic. So put that down. That's a characteristic feature. We are spiritual Semites. So the Aramaic speak a Semitic language. And the whole Aramaic, the ancient Aramaic world covered a whole swath of the Middle East. And before the beginnings of formal religious grouping, this group of speakers spoke Semitic language all across the Middle East. So Hebrew comes from it. Aramaic is a root language, both Eastern and Western language, and then Arabic. So that's a big family group, and the language shapes their spirituality. But what shapes their spirituality more than the language is the geography. So we are what we might call desert mystics. The desert has shaped our tradition. The geography of the desert has shaped our tradition. And the word that is used for Abraham and Sarah is that they were wandering. Exactly. So you could say all of us are spiritual nomads. We have been nomadic from the beginning of our existence, from the beginning of our tradition. You might have lived in Virginia all your life, but inwardly, you're spiritual Semites, you're nomadic, your spirit has been traversing desert landscape. So the idea that the geography is metaphorically accurate, that the landscape of our inner experience is fierce and desert-like. So just check out your experience as you've been living your life. Outwardly, you may have been driving to Walmart and everything is fine, but inwardly, you're tracking a desert geography. It's a fierce landscape. It's not without challenge. It's full of aridity. You need water. You need to find oases. You need to travel with your own kind. You're on a pilgrimage. So the root idea of the spirituality is that you are on a journey. You're not sedentary. And in the Middle East, if you were a nomad, in order to live in this kind of a landscape, you had to journey. If you settled in one place, you would die because you would finish all of the grass and all of the things that were available to you, so you had to move on. You had to keep going. How is your spiritual life? You land in a place, you receive, it's amazing, it's refreshing, water is there, and all of a sudden it dries up and you got to go on. That's a characteristic feature of the Absarian tradition, that the pilgrims that move, it's a pilgrimage. So it's a pilgrimage that is traveling. So the spirituality, the characteristic feature of this tradition is that we're on pilgrimage through the earth experience. And the earth experience is desert-like. It's not easy. If you settle down, typically what you'll do is just die. I don't want to say die in any ultimate sense, but you'll go to sleep. You'll not be alive. If you're nomadic, you're very aware. You're very aware of your inner landscape. You're aware of the changes. You're aware of what is happening in the inner world. And your journey, your spiritual journey, is very much tied to this need to be a pilgrim, to be on a journey. And so I'm going to give you a big word to describe this that is in the terms of Sophia Perennis. You are on a journey of eternal return. Okay? So that's the biggest way of thinking about this pilgrimage. And you begin to understand your life as a pilgrimage through time and space, from eternity to eternity. And what we're experiencing now is we're on pilgrimage together through the desert landscape of the world. And now we're sharing our stories. And one of the interesting features, and this is really true of desert mystics, nomadic spirituality, a theology and a spirituality that's shaped by the desert, not by the jungle. Some traditions are shaped by jungle. This tradition is shaped by desert. So the whole biblical tradition is shaped by the desert experience and through nomadic pilgrimage through the desert experience. And you look at your life and say, sure enough, that's true. And I can begin to see that. Now, when we talked last night about the roots down here of the experience of spirit in the world, we were really talking about the roots in the Abrahamic family, the Absarian family. We're talking about its roots in the spirit of the desert. So the roots are in the desert. The roots are in the oases or the places where water collects in the desert. And then you move from oasis to oasis, from one refreshment to another refreshment. And sometimes you really go through rough patches, arid journeys. And what the pilgrims of this journey said from the very beginning, and this is a characteristic feature, again, of the Abrahamic faiths, is, you know what? When we were out there in that desert, something else was out there. The desert is a haunted place. It's haunted by spirit. It's haunted by presence. We were not alone. We began to experience a haunting. We began to experience a presence. So the shared experience of pilgrims moving across this kind of a landscape in a kind of spiritual nomadic sense is what they tell over and over again. We were confronted by a presence. The desert was not alone. It was not empty. And I'll put it in a different way of speaking. The universe is a haunted place. It's haunted by spirit. We're not alone. You get out there and it's quiet and you think, I'm all by myself. No. Never. The spirit is always there. The presence shows up. So look at your own experience. How often has the presence showed up? Startlingly. Daily, if you begin to pay attention. Daily, exactly. But at first it has to get your attention. Nah, I'm just making it up. Must be my imagination. It's a fantasy. I was smoking something. I must have had a bad drink. Bad dream, bad drink. No, I had the same experience. Really? Yep, I did too. And what did you hear? What did you experience? So the old tradition was around the campfire, you might say, of pilgrimage, nomadic pilgrimage, our ancestors sitting around in the desert at night saying, you know what, this is a weird experience, but there's something out there. And it keeps showing up. We're not alone. We are haunted by presence. And this presence is not it's not our imagination. We didn't make this up. Something's out there. Something wants us. And what this presence wants is both attention, our attention, and it wants, even more interestingly, relationship. It wants something from us. It wants a relationship. And that grounds the Abrahamic tradition. So desert, pilgrimage, something showing up. It's not my imagination. Something other, some alien other thing keeps showing up in human experience in this milieu. And it wants something from us. It wants relationship. It wants a relationship. And so begins the Jewish story. That's the Jewish story. It starts way back there, and it begins to build into a long, complicated, and I would say it's a love story between the human and the divine who are in relationship. It's not anonymous. It's not abstract. It's real, and it's relationship like we have with each other. And some of you I've seen in person, like Peg. I've been in touch with Russ for quite some time online. A number of you I've met online, like Angela. We meet online regularly in a group that's studying Ian McGilchrist. And then I've heard of others of you, and I've talked to you, but now we're in person. So from here on, guess what? I'm friends with you. Our relationship changed from acquaintance to friendship, right? Now, we may not be best buddies. We may not be little squirts running around like Bill and Charles, but we are becoming friends, and our friendship it's going from knowledge of or about to relationship with to acquaintance to friendship, and eventually to deepening friendship, and in some cases intimacy. Communion, yes. Deep, deep relationship. That's the essence of the Abrahamic tradition. That's characteristic of both Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. They share that. They share that basic feature. That's a part of the family structure. Now, it exists on the other side in different ways, on the eastern side of the tree. And I don't have time. We don't want to go there because we're looking at Sufism as a particular way of understanding ourselves and our family. But I want you to get this deep sense, and we've lost that sense. We go to sort of anonymity, no relationship. I'm just a member of this church. Yeah, but the Abrahamic tradition doesn't want that. Not just that. It wants the establishment, the presence to show up in your life, and you to begin a journey of deepening acquaintance into friendship. So the story of the Jewish world is this long pilgrimage, and sometimes it's a relationship, and I'm going to say this, it's truth. Sometimes it's a relationship of deep love, and sometimes it's a love-hate relationship. And if you don't understand that, in the scriptures that are, the stories that are shared by the Jewish world, you don't understand the turmoil of that relationship. The turmoil of the relationship between the divine and the presence, the voice and the presence that has sought that family. If you don't realize, it's a really mixed experience. And you talk to Jews today, and they're on one side of the fence or the other about that. It's all made up. We fantasized it. And they're secular Jews. And then, no, it's a relationship in a horribly desert world. Viktor Frankl went through hell and yet emerges. There's something there. There's a presence there. There's a meaning there. And so then you have this whole group of Jews who say, no, that presence never left us. Even though we went through hell, it never left us. So we are now hearing that story and the features of the Jewish story that is just so strong and so beautiful and really such a gift to us that has come out of their deep experience of the fierce landscape of the inner desert, even in the modern world. And so this deep sense of paying attention to the experience and then the beginning to understand deeply what this presence wants. So what does the presence that they experience, what does it want? What does it want to share? What does it want to teach? What does it want to gain? So let's just make a few notes, and then I'm going to stop and let you interact with me. We're going to take a little break because we've been at this about an hour. You've heard of Shema Israel. Hear, listen to the voice, O Israel. The presence is one God, one reality. Hear, O Israel, the Lord your God is one Lord, and you shall what? Next word, love. You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind. And listen to that. It's about relationship. That's right. So the oneness of the divine, and that oneness becomes a great characteristic feature in the teaching of each of the three families groups. So we're going to come back to the oneness. But the oneness is this is not just, there's a reality that is greater than we can imagine, and I'm going to use a big highfalutin word, it's non-dual. It's non-dual oneness. Now that's way down the track, we start to understand what non-duality means. And it takes a long time for us to figure what non-duality means. But at the beginning, it's just one God, the idea. But what we're really starting to hear is the metaphysical principle of non-duality, Advaita, the oneness of being, the oneness of consciousness, the oneness of reality. Now that's something that we're all drinking. We're drinking at that fountain. This reality is far bigger than we could ever imagine. And yet it begins in the desert with this, listen to me. You've been running after that one, running after this one, doing this, doing that. No, listen to me. Sit, listen. I want to teach you something, and I want your love. I want this relationship not to be about belief system. I want it to be about love, a relationship of love. And that grounds the Abrahamic tradition's view of things. And it continues on. And we're going to see how it continues on in the Christian world. But I want you to hear that this transcendent oneness is about, and I'll put it this way, falling in love with the divine. And so when I started this morning, and I started from the Islamic side, oh, you lovers of God, know this. So that language of lovers of the divine who fall in love with the oneness, this presence, who's been seeking us out on this desert pilgrimage, here's what we need to learn about the relationship. Here's what we need to learn when we're in love with a presence that, exceeds all of our imagination and all of our thinking. What does it mean to be in love with that? So that's what the Abrahamic traditions are about, the Absarian traditions are about. They're about what does it mean to be in a love relationship with something that is beyond our imagination.
Transcendent.
It's transcendent.
You use that word.
I used transcendent because we needed to go beyond what we thought. You're just like us. You're just a bigger than us. You're the bully in the sky. You want obedience. you're going to punish us if we don't do the right thing. And slowly, slowly, the divine says, no, that's not what I want. I want to be in, and here's the strangest part, I want to be in a married relationship with you. And that's the highest form of mystical tradition. That kind of relationship with the divine. So I'm going to stop for the moment, ask you to share anything that comes to you as you're listening to this, and ask any questions, and then we're going to take a little break. It says in the Bible you should take a potty break whenever you can. So we're going to do that, and we're going to follow the biblical instruction about that. And but before we take a little break, any questions or anything that's arising in your thoughts? Yes, Angela.
What about Yahweh?
Okay.
The belligerent, angry, retributional God.
Yeah, good. So I think what we have to start back with, it's a great question, and the Jewish world has wrestled with that, and so has the Christian world, and we're still wrestling with it. So if you said the Bible is a tracking of human evolution, starting with the most rudimentary ideas, and starting with a bunch of little nomadic rednecks who are running around without any kind of discipline. And the divine begins to work with the human community, even at their most rudimentary level. I think you can say, you have kids, right, Angela? Did you ever discipline them? Did they ever think you were mean? Yes. And when they were little, you're so mean. Maybe they even threw that at you. You're so mean. You're so cruel. You won't let me do X. You won't let me do Y. And you couldn't respond other than you had to stay the course. No, you can't be throwing tomatoes at the cars running down the street. Whatever. And you say, no, you're not going to do it. Sorry. And you have to go to bed, and you're going to do this. So you at the beginning in the parenting, you exercised a certain amount of discipline. So there is that in the evolution. But eventually, your relationship with your kids are not like that. Now, not at all. You're equals. You're adult in adult relationship. And I have 3 adult kids, and I'm in adult relationship with them. But we also projected on the divine our own sense of things. And we wrote the story down, and we also put in it some of our own feelings. So you have to look at the Bible as a mixture of very crude ideas at the beginning, and eventually those ideas evolve into a finer and finer form. So as you come through the writings, you get to the New Testament, you get to the Psalms, you get to the wisdom literature of the Hebrew Bible, and you have a completely different sense. And Yahweh is not thundering from the mountains. In fact, he always says, I love you. I love you. I love you. But you have to get rid of that, or you have to grow beyond that particular point of view, that the divine is just wanting retribution, or is a potentate and controlling you by force. And when you were a parent, you had a 3-year-old, yeah, grab my hand. No, you're not running across the street. You're going to sit right here. And there was that force. But when they're 13 and when they're 20, you don't grab your child's hand and do that. You've evolved. So I think we ought to give a break to the long 3,000, 4,000 year story and realize the beginning of the story is not like the end. And here you are, very aware that the divine is not that. And you would just be adamant about that. No, that is not the way the divine is. You know that by experience, actually. So I think we ought to talk that way when we're thinking about the tradition and be aware of the developmental aspect of a tradition's evolution. So language shapes reality and shapes our perception of reality. And we live, as Noam Chomsky said, in the house of language, and that was really expressed by Sapir and Whorf, two great linguists, who said language is like a house. And let's just say here, this house, this building, has openings to the outer reality. And if I said, okay, the outer reality around this is just trees, there's nothing but trees. There's only trees. And you say, no, there's a building out there. Well, I don't see it. What do you mean there's a building out there? Trees, 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 trees. What building? You're lying. So you're in your house of language, you're absolutely, you have contact with outer but your house determines what you can see. So that's true about language.
And I would specifically like to relate the Indo-European languages, which have a lot of history for us, and Aramaic, because it sounds to me like it went in a different direction.
Very different, very different. Yeah, you're exactly right. But you cannot, somebody can come in from the outside or that lived in another house and say, hey, by the way, there's a parish hall over there. And really, I don't see it. No, trust me on this. Trust me on this. There's one over there, and there's some apartments over there. Well, I don't see it, but no, trust me on this. So your language gives you access to things that you wouldn't otherwise have access to. But so wait.
Conceptual universe.
That's right. Say it again, though.
It's your conceptual universe.
It is. Yeah, and right now, the conceptual universe, if we only had grown up in this building, we would have a very narrow view of what Alexandria, Virginia, or this region is. But we know we've been out there, and we can come back in and say, okay, it's partly this, but it's more than that. We know that. Great. Any other comment before we break and follow the biblical rule? So right now, it is 20 minutes after 10. Let's reconvene in 20 minutes. Okay?